friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video. We're doing something a little bit different today. I figured since I was setting up my 2021 bullet journal that I would share my experience right along with you guys. This is the first bullet journal that I've really spent the time setting up and creating themes and creating spreads for it, so I figured why not take you along. I am using an Archer and Olive, I think it's a B5 journal this time around. It has the really good paper, and I really wanted a really nice bullet journal so that I can watercolor in it, which you guys will see in just a second. Actually, right here, I'm watercoloring the cover page for 2021. I will say that learning to watercolor in this particular journal was a learning curve because the paper really soaks up the water really quickly, so I had to work really, really fast in order to get this to work. But I did want to go ahead and watercolor in this because watercoloring is a new passion of mine, and I wanted to incorporate that in my journal this year. So we have the quote page that says, tomorrow is the first good day, the first blank page in a 365 page book, write a good one. And I just thought that it was a really fitting quote for 2021. And then on the inside of 2021, you'll see in just a second, I wrote in cursive, be kind to me. I think everyone is looking forward to a new year and hoping that 2021 is going to be a little bit different than 2020, and just that things will end up turning out a little bit better than last year. So that was my intention going into this bullet journal, was to bring positivity and hope and color into my journal, just to hopefully bring some happiness along with that. So right now I'm doing my year at a glance. As you can see, I did watercolor the top of the page there just to highlight the actual title, which I'll fill in a little bit later. I did not do all of the numbers on camera because it took me so long, and it was very, very time consuming. My poor little hands had cramps, and unfortunately I did this twice because I did a year at a glance and a future log. So my little hand was just dying. So you see me put the the months in, as well as the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday on the page, and then it'll skip to the title because I just didn't want to subject you guys to all of that unnecessary pain. But again, I just wrote year at a glance, and then in cursive wrote year at a glance in the middle of it. And now we're watercoloring the second quote page that I have here in this journal, and it just says, new year, new me, same goals. I forget what it said. I don't even remember. I just thought it was a good quote, but you'll see it in just a second come to fruition because it has to dry first, so that whole process takes forever. But new year, new me, same goals, fresh start. I couldn't think of the last one, but I really like that quote as well. It's just a good reminder to focus in on, the same things that I was focusing in on last time, but hoping that this year will be a fresh start for all of that. So here is my future log. This is where I just kept mostly all of the birthdays that are happening this year and my anniversary. So you'll only see me set up the first set of months because it was just going to be repetitive if I did it twice. But I have this set up January through June, and then July through December is on the other side. So you'll see that come together in just a second. But yeah, I got to February and I realized that this is the month that all of the birthdays tend to fall into. I would love to know down below if you guys have that particular month that seems like all of your family members' birthdays end up in this month, because February is that month for me, and I don't know how that happened, but it's a crazy month for birthdays for sure. So I'm not looking forward to next month, but it'll be good. And then I did add a couple more pops of color onto this page. I think I highlighted the days of the week in like a purple color, and I tried to keep it pretty simple because I think that this page can be kind of busy when you're looking at all the numbers and all the things that you're writing inside of the future logs. It can kind of look a little bit like too much, and so I think I wanted to keep this spread pretty simple for the most part. So I just did little dots, colored them in, and with my my gel pen, my white gel pen, I wrote in the numbers. And of course, I will try to leave all of the supplies that I use in this video in the description box below if you guys are interested. But again, this is just now the second half of my future log. And I actually went in and watercolored these. I didn't realize that I did that, but I watercolored the pages there, and then just to add a little bit more pops of color, and I think it turned out really nice. Up next, we have my grid spacing cheat sheet. I did watch Amanda Rachel Lee's video on the grid spacing cheat sheet because when I would watch other people's bullet journal videos, I just didn't quite understand what it was used for. But I do think that it was helpful when setting up this bullet journal. You don't see me back and forth with it very often, but I did do all of this pencil sketching beforehand, so it was really helpful when I was originally setting this up to look back on the grid spacing and figure out how to make that work. So I did end up doing it in black and then going over it in different colors just to differentiate the different breakdowns that I usually use. And then I went and watercolored the little area around grid spacing. I will say that I definitely made a mistake here in writing the lettering in black before I watercolored. Definitely something that I'll learn for next time. I definitely do the watercolor first and then do the outline of the writing, because the writing kind of got lost in the shuffle, but I didn't want to mess with it too much and I just left it as is. I think it looks a little bit more organic, but definitely not the look I was going for that particular design. And then here we have my themes at a glance. So all 12 of my themes will end up going into this spread here. I did pencil out the first theme, but you won't see that filled in until I do my flip through at the very end. So that's just a little sneak peek to what July is going to look like, but I do end up really loving all the spreads that I put in here. Here is my goals for 2021 in regards to reading. So I want to read more big books, more self-published books, more books with LGBTQI plus representation in them, more books that are written by or written about a person of color, and then a sequel. So those are my goals for the year. You just see me fill that in. Later on, I did end up going back in and adding a little bit more color, but you don't see that in this particular setup. You'll see it in the flip through. And then this is my series to finish. I did fill this out yesterday and unfortunately messed the whole thing up. So I ended up having to glue in another page from an older bullet journal, which unfortunately isn't a white colored bullet journal. So it ends up looking weird, but in this flip through, you'll just see what I finished here, and then I filled it out at a later date. But I ended up going in and watercoloring these pages just to add a little bit more oomph because this page looked a little bit boring. And then after I watercolored this, I realized how sad the other page looked next to it. So I went in and added those details after this, but I just didn't have it on camera. And then I want to apologize if the angle is weird or anything like that. This is my first time doing a overhead video, so it might look a little strange, but next time I will try to do it a little bit better. You saw me make a mistake there. I started outlining the lines in pencil again, and then I got halfway through and I'm like, what am I doing? So I'm going through and doing it in pen, and this is actually going to be my favorite books of 2021. And then I went through and just watercolored each of the little sections. I thought it brought a little bit more pizzazz to the page and will look nice until I fill them in with whatever my favorite book of the month is for that particular month. So I really like the way that this page turned out. I think that adding that pop of color really helped bring this page to light. I also went in and did some drop shadows. Again, just wanted to add a little bit more detail, and I ended up really loving this page at the end. And then I just went in and wrote the months on there. And then we're moving on to my 2021, I keep wanting to say 2020, my 2021 releases. So this is just a place where I can keep track of the books that I'm excited for that are coming out in 2021. I tend to think about them and then forget about them, so this will really help me to keep track of all that. And then we have my books read, and as well it is doubling as my 2021 reading goal. My Goodreads reading goal is 125 books. And so I'm just going to go through and trace all of my outlines for this particular bookshelf. This took me a very, very long time to do, but it ended up looking so good. My poor little hand, though, it was cramping to the nines. It was definitely a tough spread to do, but at this point, I was just so over using the ruler, so I just went in and traced it over freehand without using the ruler. I originally set this up when I did the pencil markings with my ruler, so everything was pretty straight. I just went over and did it with my Micron Fineliner. And you will see in just a second, I go through to number them, and I realize that I only put 124 books on this instead of 125. So you'll see me add one extra book at the end there. It's not in the correct number order, but you know, mistakes are made and you live and you learn. So I'm just going to go through and color the outside of the bookshelf just to make it look a little bit more like a bookshelf. I started with one particular color and didn't like how orange it was, so I jumped over to this color. And these are just my Crayola markers that I really love. And I just go through and fill out the bookshelf, and then I'll go through and number them. I really love how this spread turned out. I think that it's a pain in the butt to make, but once it's done, it looks so good. And I really contemplated figuring out whether I was going to write the title of the book in there or if I was just going to number them and color them in. But I think the way that my writing works and just the way that I think that it would turn out, I decided to not write the names and just to color them in, just to make it look a little bit more less messy, because my handwriting can be very messy, especially when I'm doing things really quickly. So I think that this worked out better in the end. And then here I decided, I saw that I made a mistake and I fixed it and added one more book. And then this particular spread is my 21 books to read in 2021, and I don't have the books yet. I'm really behind on filming that video and putting together my 21 books, but eventually this will be filled out. This is probably the most plain spread in all of the spreads that I have in this book, because I knew that the colors were really going to make it pop once I put the book covers in there, and so I didn't feel the need for drop shadows or anything like that. So I kept this spread pretty simple. It's very self-explanatory, and I'm just going to fill in the lettering, and this is actually the last spread for my yearly breakdowns. Now we're going to jump into January, which I'm really excited for. Again, I chose to watercolor in my January spreads. The whole reason I got this bullet journal was to watercolor, so I want to make sure that that's a very prominent thing in my bullet journal spreads. So you'll see that come to life in just a second. This one says, "Moonlight drowns out all the brightest stars," and that's a quote from J.R.R. Tolkien. And I chose moon particular quotes because my theme this month was big gold moons. I just like the idea of turning the page on 2021 and starting fresh, and I think that the moon phases are a really awesome representation of starting fresh, and I think that that was a good thing to choose for this time around. So I just wrote January in cursive and then surrounded it by some bubble letters just to make it stand out a little bit more, and I'm surrounding the circle in the back with black, and then you'll see me in a second go through and watercolor the moon. I started with just a yellow based color with a little bit of orange in it, and then I went back in and added some more metallic gold watercolor just to make it more of a moon. And I specifically chose to do gold because I'm hoping that in all of my spreads I can incorporate a little bit of gold in there. So the first spread is very predominantly gold, but I loved how it turned out, and I'm so happy that I went with this. And then you'll see me do the little eyes on my quote in gold, and then I'm filling out my little constellations there in the corners. I think I might go through and add some more details. I'm hoping to get like a metallic purple pen, and I want to add some purple stars and stuff around outside of the black shape. I really wanted purple to be my accent color, but I didn't have all of the materials needed to make that work in the setup, so I'll add it in later. Now I'm just doing my monthly calendar for the month of January. Again, this is another spread that I love the end result, but setting it up is a pain in the butt. But it ended up turning out really nice. All I did was do a drop shadow on the actual calendar. I outlined January in purple, and then I did a gold moon, same as the rest of the spreads that you'll see in here. But I really love how these turn out. I think that the purple and the gold are really good colors together, and it makes the gold stand out even more. I will say, though, that a couple of times in this spread, I got a little anxious and antsy. I was filming this particular setup for 3.5, almost 4 hours, and by the end, I was just so over it. So I didn't wait for a lot of my watercolor to dry and ended up transferring from one page to the other. So you'll see that in the flip through, unfortunately, but it adds a little bit of character. I'm not too mad about it, but I will say that I was definitely losing steam here at the end. I stopped using my my ruler. I wanted it to be over. I spent 2 days doing the pencil outlinings and 4.5 hours doing just this. So it was a long time to set this up, but for February at least I won't have to do the yearly ones. So hopefully that will speed up the process just a little bit. The ones I didn't talk about earlier were my TBR and my stats page. I don't fill that out in this video, but I will fill it out eventually. And then we have on the other side my favorite books, my favorite quotes, and then another quote page. It just says "To the moon and back," remember. So that's that. And then here I am setting up my physical and audiobook days read spread. I love seeing the spread come together at the end of the month and seeing the days that I read and seeing patterns in my reading. Just something that I really love to see fleshed out. And so again, a very simple spread. I'm going to add some gold in there in just a second. And then I do add a full moon at the bottom. I don't love how this moon turned out. I think that it could have definitely been a little bit better, but you know, I'm still learning when it comes to watercolor, and I just don't think that the colors that I used this time around were suitable to making a moon look more realistic. But you know, next time I'll learn for next time. But you know, it's not the worst moon I've ever made, so I will take the win. And then this was a spread that I didn't quite wait for that moon to dry, so it ended up transferring onto the little the little quote at the bottom that says "Dream On." And then I believe that moon I didn't wait for it to dry either, so I had some transfer on that one as well. But you know, I kind of like it. I did outline the moon. I think that makes it look a little bit more moon-like instead of just a circle in the middle of the page. But you know, next time. I'll do better next time. And then we're moving on to my very last spread of this journal, and that is my weekly. So I only did one weekly. Again, I was just so tired of filling this out that I made it work. I'm gonna do one weekly and then I'll fill out my weeklies as I go. But they are already penciled in and ready for me to go, so it should be quick and easy. I just wrote out my days of the week, the month. I did a mini calendar and highlighted everything in purple and then erased everything and was good to go. So now we're going to do the flip through. I really love how this turned out, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was so fun for me to put together, and I really enjoy, you know, talking a little bit more about things other than books on this channel. So I hope that this is something that you guys will enjoy as well. This was a very interesting experience for me. It was very cathartic in ways and frustrating in others, but bullet journaling is a learning curve for me, and I'm really hoping that this is something that will not only continue to bring me joy in the new year, but also help me stay organized when it comes to video planning, because I have a lot of plans for this year, and I'm hoping that this will help me stay really, really organized. So there goes my spread for January. You'll see it filled in. I went through and added some more details at the end, but that's how it ended up turning out. And then on my read more page, you'll see that I did go through and add some colors and some drop shadows just to make the page stand out a little bit more. Um, I really love how these spreads turned out. For my first full bullet journal, I think that these spreads all look really great. I still have a lot of learning to do, but I'm proud of myself so far. Oh, I did actually end up adding drop shadows to 2021. So I didn't know that, but um, now you guys know. And then we're going into my January spreads. Nothing really changed here. Everything you see on the page is what I kept. And I absolutely loved how January turned out. I'm really excited for February. I think I have a theme already in mind, and I'm really hoping that it ends up coming out the way I want it to. So I think I will start adding these bullet journal videos into my monthly routine. So if you guys do like these, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you want to share some of your bullet journal spreads with me, feel free to tag me on Instagram. But that is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, suggestions in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.